Now, on Thursday, JoyNews premiered a documentary produced by Menace Awene. Remember, it's about a militia group training, and with its headquarters at the Osu Castle, the seat of government annex, but that's greatly been denied. But is the former seat of government, if you like, in an attempt to deny the existence of this group, if you like. We've had many responses coming from government. The Information Ministry issuing a statement last week. Kujayang Singh is here. We're just going to go through some of the things that have been said. And then last Saturday on Newsfile, Ankomah was on Newsfile, Martin People was on Newsfile, Ali Dusaidi was also on Newsfile. They had some very interesting things to say. Yeah. Dr. Kwesi also joining in the conversation on Newsfile on Saturday.
Indeed, and the first response we had from government was from the in a statement that was issued by the Minister for Information, and they sought to make a number of points. First, they talked about how the individual who is at the helm of this group is a former bodyguard of the president, and he is no longer the president's bodyguard. I guess that was a statement they made to confirm what Menace said, because Menace said exactly the same thing. Or the JoyNews documentary said exactly the same thing. And then they sought to draw some sort of distinction between what this group does and what a militia is. That became one of the big, let's say, contentions between what we saw in the documentary and what the government was saying. They insisted that this group is not a militia group. They come together to seek jobs for young men and women. Now, this, of course, is in contradiction to what we heard from the presidency, that there's no such group there. No group is doing any such thing there.
So you're talking about that conversation between Eugene Ahin, the Director of Communications of the presidency, and Menace Awene.
That's right. And so yeah, that was a contradiction on their part between the presidency and the Minister for Information. But then, putting aside that, we also have the claim that they are not a militia. We heard over the weekend, and I hope we'll be able to play back Dr. Kwesi contribution to Newsfile, where he made it quite clear that you don't have to be wearing camouflage to be a militia. You just have to have some military training. And the group themselves, in the documentary, you hear them saying that they have received military training, which gives them an advantage when they get recruited into national security and other forces.
Yeah, just to add, Ankomah also on Newsfile did say that he had received a message from a military man attached to the UN who said that any military person, wherever, after watching the video, would know just by their actions and the things they were saying that they were indeed receiving military training.
That's right. So yes, this definition of militia based on their lack of uniform, yeah, that was interesting. But there were many other contradictions throughout the statement from the presidency, including this claim that the group was actually evicted from the castle in October. By a force.
Combined force.
A combined force of police and national security. Yeah. So, yeah. Why that was necessary, but anyway, they claim they evicted them in October. So how they can explain how the group was still operating there in December, even deployed from there, because you know, in Menace's, in the video that, the undercover video, they actually left the castle on the 7th of December and traveled to the conference center for that program where they were, you know, in the audience and also providing security. And then they traveled back, and then we saw them the next morning at parade. So clearly they were still operating from that location, even though police and national security had evicted them. And by the way, national security still provides security at the castle. I went there last week. They stopped my car.
That's also another contradiction, isn't it?
They stopped my car and checked it before I went in.
Because it's a security zone. So if it's a security zone, why is it that when Dr. Kwesi went to appeared before the Emil Shot Commission, his vehicle was not allowed? But let's just bring you a playback of some of the things said on Newsfile. There's also a fresh angle, if you like, because yesterday, Sunday, A Minister of States and the National Security took to Facebook and said a few things. We'll share that with you. But first, here's Ace Ankomah on Newsfile on Saturday.
New Patriotic Party, National Democratic Congress. You guys are the source of what we're talking about. All of these have their roots in you. Let's stop the hypocrisy and blaming of each other. NPP, NDC, you are the source of this. You may not own them directly on paper, but you know the boys. You know when to harvest these boys to use them.
Okay.
So it is my view. I agree. Let's lock up the president, the ex-president.
What do you say? Lock up president?
Yeah, the president. Not arrest.
Okay.
The president, ex-president, ex-president Rollins, ex-president Kufo, the chairman of MPP and DC, and keep the key to they come up with a solution.
And the mediators.
Well, no, the six of them should mediate among themselves.
Oh no, we need civil society present.
Civil society.
Yes.
No, they can solve this. They are the source of this. And so if we give this the opportunity,
wait. I won't let you speak further before national security invades.
No, but that's the last.
Once you are asking for the president to be locked up.
No. The numbers are huge. Nobody has the statistics, and I'm not going to throw a number out here before it becomes a headline.
Okay.
We may have to ask ourselves as a nation that there are people who have known their source of livelihood. Is Ghana prepared to settle them as a price for getting our peace? That I understand there are thousands. That it is time to not just disband, to demobilize them and let them re-enter life. Is that the price we are prepared to pay? And then let's begin to ask ourselves, is it time for that medal, that national security force, properly recognized? Because this force is an illegality.
But I have two important concerns. One, the privileged venue that they had access to. And then two, whether the president was actually aware or not aware. Even if the old seat of government is not a security zone, but it is a privileged location. Ministers of states sit there. Even the very commission that we have set up.
There are three ministries under the presidency at that place.
That occupy that space. And then the Emil Short Commission sits there in an attempt to deal with this menace. And I think they alternate. Maybe when they sit and do their own thing, then they also come and train. That is a serious cause for concern. And I'm also very sure that this issue seriously index a specific group of people that are in power. And definitely, I know they will react. But my concern is the president aware, as the documentary want to portray, that the president saw them and was asking which group of, they were very beautiful, he was very happy. If he's aware, and he knows this group are not licenses, why should they keep on operating? Two, if he's not aware, then it means there's somebody in a very privileged position that is protecting this group without even the knowledge of the president. That also has security implication. Now let's look at the policy implication. The president has been calling for dialogue between...
No, but you asked that question. Is it possible that the president will not be aware?
Yes, it's possible. But even there are two cases. In the documentary, they portray it as if the president is aware.
Because their leader is boasting.
Yes,
that the president asked about them.
And they said, oh, those are the people from the
refer
castle.
To them as his children.
Yes. So if that is the case, it means there is hypocrisy on the part of the president, who is calling for serious, honest dialogue to disband this group, but at the same time shielding them in a location that is highly privileged. And that has implication for the way we deal with this menace going forward.
The director of communications at the presidency, Eugene Ahin, had told Menace Azure that the presidency was unaware of the presence of any such grouping at that venue.
And Samson, that also has an implication. It means, even right under the nose of the president, people are training citizens on military drills without even the knowledge of the president, without the knowledge of the national security.
Maybe that is not what they are doing. That is why it doesn't have to come to the attention of the president.
But Samson, whatever it is, the way the documentary portrayed it, and the kind of drills and the kind of responses that they say, it's not like the president response, the government response was they are providing job. We have NAPCO. NAPCO is doing this. A lot of government interventions that's providing job. They were not being taught how to prepare CV, how to respond to interviews and all those things. They were given military dress kind of training. At least you know what. That's why NAPCO and all those things are there. Government have a lot of intervention that's just towards providing jobs. So I don't see the correlation between what they were doing as portrayed in the documentary and the whole essence and justification of providing jobs. So I still think that whichever way we look at it, whether the president was aware or the national security was aware or they were not aware, it both have implications. And the implication is that it goes to portray the stance that the political parties are the direct beneficiaries of these organizations, and to be very difficult for them to seriously commit to disbanding them, especially when it comes to light that the same person calling for us to disband this is either aware or not aware about these things that's going on, and which claim serious allegiance to the government of the day.
If security was aware and the police visited them, then it puts in sharp relief the challenges of state institutions in performing the functions that by law they should be performing to protect lives and property. If national security and the Ghana Police Service were not able to dislodge this group as far back as October 2018, then there are disturbing questions that we have to ask. Number one, under whose authority and under whose powers, whether written or oral, could this group resist and flout the orders of statutory security agencies in the country? Furthermore, it just shows the limited powers of the institutions that we know should be protecting us. If other non-statutory organizations think they are better connected and they are better protected by a higher authority. So, having been dislodged, this is the time that we need to take a step back, reflect, and ask very difficult questions. And once more, the Parliamentary Committee on Defense and Interior cannot and should not keep quiet.
When Menace approached me some time ago, that was, I think, early February, yes, and mentioned the topic. To be candid, I was shocked from what he told me before I even saw the video, because when he mentioned that they were training at the former seat of government, that's Osu Castle, I was like, are you sure? You see? And apart from then, he went on to show me the video. I was like, what? If you ask him, I kept talking. I was just talking. I just couldn't believe it. I was like, is this a dream or, that's for real? So the long and short of it is that it actually shook me to the core. And so I think that His Excellency should do something about this. And at the same time, too, look, I think we've called upon the Peace Council and those people enough. They should either set up, or we would, as citizens, have to start organizing to demonstrate. Because when I saw it, I just saw that, no. It had just gone way too far. In the former seat of government, the Osu Castle, whether it has become, it's no longer a security zone or not, look, it's of no moment. The point is that you can't...
The Minister of Information says that for a while now, upon the declaration of the President, it is for the purposes of a museum. So
that's why I said that, yes. So whether it is a security zone or not, that's whether it has ceased to be. It used to be, well, let's say, yes, it used to be. That's why I say it's no longer. And I'm saying, look, it's of no moment. The substance of the matter, in law, we always talk about form and substance. The substance of the matter is that, look, what has happened is too egregious for us to keep quiet about it. For crying out loud, where is national security? They didn't gather intelligence. You see, later on, he showed that he had interviewed national security, and they said they attempted to sack them, that's to take them out of the place, but somebody more powerful torpedoed it, you see it. So it tells you that there are more powerful people up there, the unseen hand, and that doesn't bode well for our democracy. No, it doesn't. And you see their numbers. They said they number about 5,000. That's
across the country, according to their own, one of their own leaders.
Yes, it's terribly bad, terrible. That's why I think that...
So you see them in a perspective that they don't. Even though they have a website and they have clearly stated that they perform security services.
Yeah.
We hear from the government response that this is almost like, you know, an employment agency, recruitment agency, and that they pose no threats, if you like. When you look at the manner they conduct themselves in the documentary that you see, is it not far-fetched to suggest that they are a militia?
Look, I would not say far-fetched. Well, militia, I want to stay away from, because that word, you know, in our literature, if you look from Kwame Nkrumah's days till now, we've been comfortable with vigilantism, okay? And also the militia looks more military, more weapons and, you know, ammunition. So it looks far more militarized, you see. So I prefer the vigilantism, okay? At least we are used to it over all these decades.
Okay.
Look.
And when you say vigilantism, you mean negative vigilantism?
Exactly,
Right.
the negative one, the negative one. You see, in the tape, the video, did you see that when they went to pray, as you know, often they will start with prayers. He said, we are gathered here in the name of the MPP. Yeah, where to that effect? And they prayed for the president, the vice, and all that, and the lieutenants of the chief of staff. When they say chief of staff, that's the, I think that's the Keja man, yes. As the chief of staff, his lieutenants, you say, please, that's indoctrination. Every day, we are gathered here in the name of the MPP. There's a part of the video that says that they are not there to cause trouble to the president. No, rather they're on his side. There's another part of the video that states that the president was very happy, you know, at the Dombo event when they provided security. And you see, that's where the breach of the law occurs, because they provided security at that event. But the regulations about licensing private security agencies totally prohibits it and makes it an offense, as I referred to earlier. But the substance is this. So you see clearly in the video, they are providing security. Providing security. So that's a vigilantism element. So, I mean, and I'm not sure even the MPP are denying that. What they're saying is that they are not associated with. But if you are not associated with, how do you hide the services of
they
such an organization?
All right, so guests on Newsfile analyzing this documentary produced by Menace Azure Awene. Lots of contradictions if you look at the kind of reactions that have come through, particularly from governments. If we can, we'll bring you Brian Champong, as he posted on Facebook yesterday. He's a minister at the presidency in charge of national security. But really, Roland Walker is up to speak to Adam Bona, who would also do some further analysis of this documentary, Kojo.
Yes, indeed. Now, the Minister of State in charge of national security actually put up a post on social media. It's not very long. I'm happy to read it just so that we're fully up to speed on everything he had to say. I've shared it on my page as well on Facebook. So here are his words exactly, and I quote, "We did all the works and assured ourselves that DI Group was not a vigilante group, into brackets, truest form and interpretation, militia, or criminal organization. Importantly, we did not classify or see their operation as a threat to the state and or government. Indeed, we are privy to every facet of their operations, which primarily involves 1. Soliciting young unemployed persons, 2. Writing to companies and agencies for job openings, 3. Seeking to place their young unemployed clients into employment opportunities, 4. Charging them a fee for their services. We are also aware that Nana Rekun alias Choman started his company from his former secretariat at the castle, where we warned him on 2 occasions and arrested him, threw him out of the office and shut it down in October on our 3rd encounter with him. It has not come to our notice that he had had any, sorry, I'll take that again. It has not come to our notice that he had had access to the office since. Their new office is located in Jolu. We are also aware that due to their extensive marketing efforts on TV, radio, website, and their placement success rate, a lot of unsuspecting unemployed continue to visit the castle in search of the I group. At no time did we see these people conducting any training regime that we will consider a security threat. We were aware of their end-of-year party at the Castle Gardens, but nobody seeing these innocent, job-seeking young men and women can conclude that they are a vigilante group or militia. In fact, they don't pass for a school cadet. Those responsible for managing the castle lawn must answer why they allowed these people on their space. Since it's no longer a security installation, our interest ended when we determined the purpose of gathering and satisfied ourselves extensively that they pose no threats. You can be sure that we have the men, masked and unmasked, to suppress any threat to our peace and security, if indeed there is one. So that's what Brian Achampong had to say on Facebook. Brian Achampong, of course, as you stated, is the Minister of State at the presidency, responsible for national security. Now, let's bear in mind, there is a national security minister as well. So we will have to play it safe and assume that this minister, Brian Achampong, would be the one who briefs the president on national security issues. Perhaps Kandapa will also brief the president on occasions, but that daily intelligence briefing that the president must have will be coming from Brian Achampong, I'm assuming. I could be wrong. That appears to be the logical arrangement that you would expect. But like I said, I could be wrong. Now, if that is the case, then the person who is communicating with us right now, Mr. Brian Achampong, is also the person who communicates with the president. So he is the one who will have to explain to us how come the presidency told Manasseh that that the president doesn't know about the existence of this group. Brian Achampong appears to know quite a lot about them. He says that he didn't observe any of their activity to be a threat to the state or to government. But I'm hoping that national security is not only about protecting the state and government, but also about protecting the people. I hope so. I mean, they protect, they have people at the airport to make sure that the wrong sort don't enter this country. I'm assuming that's not just to protect the state and government, but it's also to protect us. So they're saying that when they notice that these people pose no threat to state or government, they decide to let them be. Did they check whether they pose any threat to us, the rest of us? Those who might not be part of state or part of government or part of NPP. Anyway, he says they are engaged in 4 activities. And this I found particularly interesting. So he states them. 1, soliciting young unemployed persons. 2, writing to companies and agencies for job openings. 3, seeking to place their young unemployed clients into employment opportunities. And 4, charging them a fee for their services. He did not add anything about training them to join national security, which is what the group themselves say they've done for some of their members. They've trained them to join national security. Brian Achampong doesn't seem to know about that. He also insists that they were removed in October and only came back for a party in December. But we know that in the video. We saw them leaving the compound, Osu Castle, going to the conference center where they provided security for an event that the president attended. He is the Minister of State responsible for national security at the presidency. So unless he wants to completely gloss over that part of the documentary and say, I didn't see it, he really has to explain that to us. How did the president attend an event where the security was provided by this group of job seekers? especially if we have the men masked and unmasked to provide security for the president. Why did that happen? I would love to speak to Brian Achampo. I would love to ask him some of these questions because they do not add up. So he also says that Nana Rekun started his company from his former secretariat. Why did Nana Rekun have a secretariat at the castle?
He had a job to do then.
What job is this?
That was also contained in that
statement from the Information Ministry. Yes.
To collect assets from previous members of the previous administration.
Was that a lawful arrangement? Was it a lawful arrangement?
We would want to assume.
No, I'm asking. I don't know the answer. That's why I'm asking. Was it a lawful arrangement? You brought in a former bodyguard of the president to run a secretariat at Usu Castle. Usu Castle, to go and retrieve state assets and bring them back. Where's the accountability lines here? Which state institution is responsible for this retrieval of state assets? How do we know that they didn't retrieve some assets, sell them, and then come and tell the state that, oh, we didn't find it? How do we know? What is the reporting procedure there? Who set up that secretariat? And is it up to, I mean, and let's be clear here, they are not officials of state. So they can only be members of the party. Where does it make sense? Where does it make sense for a party that has won power to send the party to go and collect state assets from the government that just, members of the government that just left? Is that a party function? Political party function? So there is a question about that Brian Achampo, who is telling us that this is what they were doing, really has to explain to the understanding of Ghanaians. Okay? So he says it has not come to our notice that he had access to the office since. Who provides security at Osu Castle? Who? Is it G4 security? Or is it a watchman from my hometown? Who provides security at Osu Castle? So how can he tell us that it has not come to his notice that the man has had access to the office since? We filmed the man there in December. And it has not come to his notice. Brian Achampo, who has the men masked and unmasked, he doesn't know what's happening at Osu Castle, but he insists on giving us information. You are talking about something you don't know. In other words, you don't know what you are talking about, but you insist on giving us information. Was it not safer to be quiet? Anyway, he now says their new office is located in Jowulu, but people tend to come there looking for them. So is that an explanation for the hundreds of suited men we see going in and out of the castle since, when did he say they evicted him? Is it October? Yes. So is that his explanation for all the suited men we see coming in and out? That they come there looking for the office? So nobody can tell them at the gate, there's no such office here, go back. So they still manage to find their way in hundreds. Okay. And
So
the people who manage the lawn,
I guess
the people who water the grass, should come and account to Ghanaians for how they ended up holding their party there. But I thought he said he knew about the party. I thought he said that national security knew about the party and confirmed that there is nothing, no threat involved in what they were doing there at the party. Let me read it. We are aware of their end-of-year party at the Castle Gardens. But nobody seeing these innocent job-seeking young men and women can conclude that they are a vigilante group or militia. In fact, they don't pass for a school cadet. So they are aware of the end-of-year party. Yet they want the people who water the grass, who mow the lawn, to come and explain to Ghanaians how those people ended up having a party there. How many security checks do you have to get through before you get to the lawn?
I guess the posts is raising a lot of questions. So just as Kojo has outlined, there are so many more questions just from Brian Achampo's Sunday post that we want to interrogate further. So we'll take a breather. When we come back, Roland Walker is engaging security analyst Adam Bona further on this issue.